Today's episode of Ham Radio 2.0 is brought to you by ARDN, the Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network. The Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network is an open-source project that brings emergency communications into the 21st century. With easily available commercial equipment, you can build a low-cost, high-speed network. Visit the ARDN website at www.arden.org for more information. ARDN branded equipment labels, embroidered patches, and apparel are available on the website by clicking on the Shop menu button.
This is Jerry, KG5JBC, and I'd like to invite you to join our DMR net on the Brandmeister Network, Talk Group 3148, on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This net is sponsored by the Ham Radio 2.0 video podcast on livefromthehamshack.tv.
Wow, okay, good afternoon. It is freaking hot outside. Welcome to Ham Radio 2.0, live from the Ham Shack. My name's Jason. My call sign's KC5HWB, which will be for the unboxing video. And I'm not going to actually unbox it. It's right here. It's actually already out of the box. So all you unboxing gurus say, oh, I know how to open a box. It's out of the box. Shut up. Here's a review of the radio. But I'm going to show you what's in the box, along with the microphone, right here, and the radio itself. Now, I've got this one sitting right here, because this is a TH-9800, their quad-band copy of the Yaesu FT-8900, and this is the MD-9600. And from the back, and the bottom, and the sides, if I can quit bumping the microphone, they look the same. The face is a little bit wider on the 9600 right here than it is on this one. And of course, the TH-9800 has a detachable face. Unfortunately, much to everyone's disappointment, I'm sure, the 9600 does not have a removable face. It does look kind of like... It's got two screws down here at the bottom, and if you took those off, you might be able to kind of, I don't know, you might be able to fashion something yourself, but it would void the warranty to do something like that. So just FYI. It does have a UHF connector for the single antenna port in the back. Connect Systems has a Type-N connector because it's a UHF-only radio. The Texas Digital Radio TDR6100, same thing. But this radio, being dual band, it's your standard UHF style connector, SO239 in the back of the radio. And this is the dual band. And there's a sticker on the bottom here with the FCC stamp. And it says power on VHF is 50 watts and UHF is 45 watts. Now we're going to test that on analog here in a few minutes. I do not have a TDMA power meter, so I can't test it on DMR. But all the tests I've done up to date for DMR radios, I've tested on analog, and they're performing on analog what they're advertised to. Well, most of them are. Some of them are not. Most of them are, though. But I wanted to show you the 9800 because it's the same size radio. This radio in the pictures, it looks bigger. It looks kind of like a XTL series, a Motorola XTL series radio, sorta. Kind of looks like an XTL. But it's smaller. It's the size of a TYT TH-9800, which is the same size of radio as Kenwood V71A, if you've got one of those. So it's not too big. It's probably about the same size as a Connect Systems also. I don't have my Connect Systems radio in here right now. And my TDR6100 is actually mounted in my car. So, anyway. We're going to power this up. Now, let me say something about this radio. It doesn't have the detachable face. It has a UHF port, which people are going to be happy with the UHF port because some people didn't like the fact that Connect Systems only had the Type-N connector on the back. But for a UHF-only radio, it actually makes sense. Type-N's better on higher frequencies than PL259 is. It's got a, yeah, okay. So it's got a similar connector in the back of it that the 9800 does for the data connection for programming. The software, which I've got right here on my laptop, and I'll show you guys here in a minute, looks exactly the same as the MD-2017 software or the MD-390, 380, 390 software. You can see, I mean, you can see, I'll show it to you here in a second. It's not, at the time of this video, there is no import feature for the 9600 software to import either an MD-380 or a MD-2017 code plug into the MD-9600 radio. At the time of this video. Now, hopefully that'll change. I've asked TYT about that. When I recorded my MD-2017 video, episode 99, a few episodes back, at that time, you had to build your own code plug. Since then, they came out with the new CPS. Actually, they've got 2 versions of the CPS since I recorded that video. And on 1.16, CPS version 1.16, and on 1.17, you can take an MD-380 code plug and open it into the MD-2017 software, and then it'll import everything. Now, once you do that and you save it, it destroys the ability to use it on an MD-380 radio. So what you want to do is just take your MD-380 code plug, make a copy of it under a different name, and then import that code plug into the 2017. But it does work. You want to go through all the channels and make sure it didn't change anything. I found several fields that were changed on mine. But with all the channels I've got in my MD-380, 390 code plug, it was still much quicker to import that code plug and just go through each channel by channel, make sure all the settings were correct, than it would be to build a whole new code plug from scratch. So do it however you want to do. But I was saying a second ago, I'm going to start this screen recording software here so that everybody can see what the software looks like. The programming software. It just, I mean, it looks exactly the same as the MD-2017 software. So this right here, you know, you can see up here at the top. This is a screenshot of the software. You can see up here at the top it says MD-9600. If I go and try to open my MD-2017 code plug, it tells me the model is wrong. And you see frequency range A and B. And you can't change that in here. Now, I haven't read the radio yet at the time of this screenshot. But if I go and try to open the MD-390 code plug, it also says the model is wrong. So, I'm hoping that TYT updates the software soon to allow importing of new code plugs. But we're going to throw a code plug in here real quick. We're going to throw 2 or 3 channels in here real quick. And I'm going to key up and make some QSOs. Buy the radio wherever you want to. I'm not going to tell you where to buy it. There's several good dealers out there you can buy it from if you're interested in it. So do whatever you want to do. Just be cognizant that there are 2 versions of the radio, monoband and dual band. And TYT calls them both an MD-9600, like the Chinese do. So just FYI. So let's take a look at the TYT MD-9600 dual band DMR 2 meters and 440 DMR and analog dual band radio. I took and wrote a short code plug into this radio. I basically just put my subscriber ID. I entered this intro screen stuff down here, and make sure that's recording. Okay. And then I created a few digital contacts, TAC 310 statewide, created a zone, and then I created some channels. When I created this analog channel, did this 440 analog and 2 meter analog, and then went back to the zone. If I have I have these available channels. This is the channel member A and B. This is similar to the 2017. So if I want to add, so this is the top band as you're looking at the radio, and this is the bottom band as you're looking at the radio. If I wanted to add this one over here, it won't add. And if I want to add this one to the left, it won't add. So you have to add 2 meter on this side, channel B, which is the bottom band as you're looking at the radio, and you have to add 440 to channel member A, which is the top band. So the bands do not appear to be interchangeable at this time. You can't change this frequency range A, and you can't change this frequency range B. So there is that limitation at this time. It does have a VFO mode. I haven't played with that yet. So anyway, I wrote this into the radio, and you can see that I got the camera pointed at the radio right there. So this right here is obviously this is my new meter that MFJ sent me. Richard out at MFJ, he's one of my sponsors, and he sends me these new meters and a couple other things I can use on the show. So I appreciate MFJ supporting Ham Radio 2.0. But this is the radio on the bottom, what it looks like powered up. I've got it on the bottom band is the one analog 2-meter channel, and the top band is the 440 channels. I can change channels like this, and I'm punching buttons on the microphone right now is what I'm doing. So, and these are just talk groups I have to talk into my own repeater right here. KC5 HWB testing, Texas statewide. Now you see the power, which is the number on the top of the meter, kind of fluctuating around. That's because we're on DMR right now. Okay, so that was David. Hey, WA0URJ, good afternoon. KC5 HWB on statewide. Just doing a test on this TYT MD-9600 dual band radio for the video show here, QSL.
QSL for Ham Radio 2.0. Hey Jason, this is David. I'm Sherman. Good to hear you. Yeah, call letters coming up on that that's different than your call, so KF5 COB showing up. Anyway, I'm anxious to watch your video and report on that radio. Very anxious.
4-1. Okay. I obviously oh, I must have fat fingered that. That's why. Okay, so let's write to the radio. So I changed my subscriber ID right now. Let me write. And writing to the radio is pretty quick. I think it's a little bit quicker than the 2017. You can see it says PC program mode on the face of the screen of the radio right now. And the radio will reboot just like that after it's done. And I'm going to go back to statewide. Okay, David, thanks for that info. Apparently, I fat-fingered my subscriber ID when I put it into the radio. I just fixed it now, so it should look correctly. KC5 HWB on statewide.
Hey, you are correct. You're who you say you are. Okay. Jason, always a pleasure to talk to you, and I appreciate everything you do for DMR. Like I said, you've forgotten more than I'll ever learn, so I'm happy you're doing it.
Okay, David. Yeah, appreciate the QSO there. Yeah, just getting a shot of what the screen looks like when it's in operation and that kind of good thing. So, 73, and we'll talk at you next time. KC5 HWB.
Okay, and good luck. I'm looking forward to your video when you get it up there. WA0URJ, Texas statewide. Robert Sherman, 73, Jason.
Okay, so that is the short QSO there for the radio, and I've gotten good reports. I did a short QSO earlier with Carrie KD5YIZ, and she said it was sounding good as well. So I'm happy to hear that. And it looks like the radio is working good. So I'm going to switch it over here to Well, this is what the, no it's not. This is what the menu looks like here. So you can see. Now, someone had asked if you could. Let me look at the software real quick and see if there's a program radio button the way that there is on the other radios. No, not there. Menu. Aha! Okay, so in the software, under menu item on the left-hand column, which is the third option down, it has a checkbox for program radio, which of course by default is unchecked the way it is on the 2017. So let's go ahead and write that data to the radio again. I checked the box. I'm writing to the radio. You can see PC program mode on the screen of the radio. And we're going to go in here and see if we can add a channel manually. And of course it reboots after you write to it. Now, I'm going to go back into the menu. Utilities. There we go. Program radio. Okay, so I can edit the channel. I can add channel right there. Add channel. Let's add a digital channel. Huh. There's probably a way. I don't know how to back up. So, okay, I'd have to play with that some. I haven't done this, obviously. It's a little bit different on the mobile radio than it is on the handheld. Because on the handheld, you've got kind of like a back button. You can go... Now, I can go back there, but it's not erasing it. It does let you add a channel. It does let you save it. I can't figure out how to edit the channel name from the microphone because... It'll let you add character, like it comes up and it says channel 1, but you can't backspace. You can back up to, you can move the cursor back, but it doesn't delete the existing. Delete the existing characters, and there's no button. And I hit every button on the microphone. Maybe there's a button on the screen that'll do it, but right now I can't figure out how to actually change the name of the channel. But you can go in there and you can add the receive and the transmit frequency, you can add the color code, and you can add the talk group. So you can add from the front panel, and they'll probably kind of tweak that as new firmware updates come out, just like they did on the 2017 and just like they've done to the MD-380 and 390 for a long, long time. So anyway, be sure to check that program radio box in the menu item menu. The name of the menu in the software is called menu item. And it's got a bunch of checkboxes in there, and by default, the program radio is unchecked. But if you go in and check it and then write back to the radio, it will allow you to add that channel to the radio. So, but that's what it looks like right there. And did a couple QSOs, got some good audio reports. At this point in time, like I said, you can't load an existing code plug from another radio into this model. But I'm hoping that's upcoming. That's something I've requested from them. Let's see what kind of power it does on 2 meters. Now, if you look at the screen, let me move my microphone over here. If you look at the screen, it says right here, there's an H for high power. KC5H WB test. So it's doing about 39 watts. Doing about 39 watts right there on high power on 2 meters. And I'm going into a dummy load right now, so I'm going into a dummy load, but my DMR repeater's sitting right behind me. That's how I was talking to DMR, but we're not really getting out on 2 meters right now. So there's that. Now you can go in and Okay, so that's low power right there with the L. It's doing about 4 or 5 watts on low power. I tested this earlier. I'm hitting the P1 button on the face of the radio, and now it's on. It says M, and it's got a small underline under the M, so it's doing about 9 watts there. And then it removes the underline under the M, so you've got mid power 1, and it's doing about 16 watts there. And then high power, it's doing about 40 watts. Now, it's advertised as 50 watts. And I am going into a dummy load. This is a brand new meter from MFJ, so your meter might vary a little bit, but it looks to me like it's doing about 50 watts on 145.400. There's actually, the 145.400 is what I named the channel. There actually is a minus 600 kilohertz offset that it's transmitting on right now. KC5 HWB testing. And again, we're going into a dummy load. So I'm going to switch bands, go back to the top band, and I'm going to go to this 440 analog machine. Now you can see to the left over here, there's an A or a D next to the band, and that means analog digital, obviously. If I switch down to the bottom band, it has the A. Switch back to the top band, it has the A there, and then if I switch to a digital channel like that one, it has the D. So you can tell what type of channel you're on. So on high power, on 440, we're still doing about 37 watts there, KC5 HWB testing. No, we're not getting out to that repeater either from the dummy load, so that's good. Now we're back on low power, 440. 4.5, 4.25 watts. Mid 1, or mid 2 rather, is 10 watts. Mid 1, about 21 watts there. That's really good. You could probably just leave it there and be good most of the time. And then high power, about 37.5, 38 watts maybe. So that's what it's doing on 440. So it's doing a little bit less power than what it is advertised to do. It's advertised at, according to the back of the radio, it's advertised at 45 watts on 440 and 50 watts on 2 meters. It's not doing quite that much. But different meters may vary. Different radios may vary. And, you know, so 40 watts is plenty of power for DMR. It's plenty of power for DMR. My Motorola XPR 4550 is only rated at 40 watts, and I get out just perfectly fine with that one. I have no trouble with that at all. So you ought to do just fine with 40 watts in most places for DMR. Analog too, really. I'm measuring it on analog because I don't have a TDMA meter. And if you don't have a TDMA power meter, you're not going to get an accurate power reading for time-displaced multiple access, because basically, when you key up TDMA, DMR, it's keying and unkeying 33 times per second. So it's either 33 or 36 times per second. So it's constantly keying up and down, and it confuses the meter when it does that. That's why that number jumps all over the place. When I key up the meter, when I key up the radio and it's detached to the meter on DMR, that's why it's jumping all over the place like that. So a more accurate reading can be taken on the analog side of when you switch the radio to analog. And that should be basically what it's doing on DMR also. Both DMR and analog should be pushing about the same amount of power. So that was the MD-9600, obviously. This is the book. It does have a manual. So it doesn't really contain information about programming, about DMR programming. It just tells you how to go through the menus and how to hook up the radio and everything a basic Kenwood manual would tell you. And it does have a mobile mounting bracket. Sorry, ICOM. They've got you beat on that. And then it has a standard T connector power cable. So, but the inside of the box looks a lot like the TYT analog mobile radios, like the TH-7800 and the TH-9800 and that kind of stuff. So, Looks like the same case as a TH-78 9800 as well, like we saw earlier. So I'm pretty happy with that. A lot of people are disappointed it doesn't have a removable face, and I can get on board with that. It would be much nicer if it did have a removable face. Perhaps that's something they can add later. I might try to take mine apart and see what I see behind it. Don't tell them that. But you know what? Other than the CS800 and the TDR6100, both of which I've done videos on, and the CS800D, which I have one en route to me, supposedly, there's no Motorola's or Vertex or Hyteras or any of those radios at all that have a removable face. Now, you can buy a kit, my Kenwood, my NX5800, right there, that I did a video on a while back. It doesn't have a removable face. But you can buy a kit for those radios that will convert it to a removable face. You can do that with an XPR 5550, and you can do that with the Kenwood NX5800 series. And the remote kit is about $250. So, you know, it doesn't have one, but it kind of does. But, I mean, it's like the price of another radio almost. So, yeah, sure, you can remove those faces if you want to spend the money for it. I don't have removable kits for any of my Motorola's. I didn't ever want to spend that kind of money. I'll probably buy a removable kit for my Kenwood. I still haven't got that thing fully programmed yet. But it does. It's a dual mode. It does DMR and P25, and along with analog. So it's kind of unique in that way. And it's a really, really cool looking radio, but the programming is kind of a bear on it. But, so, you know, realistically, it's not... I don't expect most DMR radios to have removable faces. Connect Systems kind of set the bar for that, but they're the only ones who have done that to date. And the TDR6100 is basically the same radio as the CS800. So, now everybody wants it. And I don't blame you. I have a TDR6100 mounted in my pilot car that has a removable face because all my radios mounted. It's an SUV. I have all my radios mounted in the back of the car, and they're strung up, and all the faces mounted on a RAM mount for a laptop RAM mount. So I can certainly understand the desire to have a remote mountable head. But I don't think that would kill it for me. I think I would just kind of be like, well, okay, it doesn't have it, so let's make do and figure out how to mount it in the car without that. So, but that's me. You know, some people, I like big trucks. So I have an SUV and I have an F-250. I got plenty of room for stuff in the car, in the truck. You know, if you drive a Prius or a Ford Focus, then you might not have that kind of room. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. So thanks for watching, guys. This video, I've been itching to make this video for some time. I think that I know that the guys who are working on the hacked firmware, KG5 RKI, Ty, and a couple other guys who almost have ready the hacked firmware for MD-2017, are also planning on doing hacked firmware for this one. So we should eventually see a mode to load the whole DMR Mark database and multiple channels, and maybe a prettier display on the screen that shows more information when when it's receiving information from a station that's talking. Kind of like the MD-380 is really kind of cool with the MD-380 tools and the DMR track firmware. So go look up the Facebook group called DMR Track. Track like a train track. T-R-A-C-K. DMR Track. And see what those guys are doing out there. Ty, he's in Texas. He's down in College Station. I think he's attending A&M. So he's working on some cool firmware that he's supposed to send me when he has it updated so that I can put it on my 2017 and test it for him. So I need to follow up with him, actually. So anyway, he's going to be doing firmware for this radio. I've already spoken to him about it. He's looking forward to trying it out. So ought to be a cool thing. So 73, thanks for watching. If you found me on YouTube, go hit up my website, livefromthehamshack.tv. You can see all the videos I've done today. This is episode 106. My name's Jason. I'm KC5HWB, and I will be QRT. See you guys later.